All right. Welcome back to another Shoe Snob unboxing series, video series, One Take Wonders. Here we are with something different, something I've never done before, and that is Indian shoemaking. So there's been a brand that has lately been kind of popular in the scene, and I had my first encounter with them at the last London Super Trunk show in May of this year. And I got to meet the owner and check out the shoes. Great people. They were very interested, of course, in hearing my thoughts on them. So I agreed to take a look, do an unboxing video, and we're getting a 2-for-1 this time around. So let's jump straight into it. So as you can see, I got a big box and a small box. There's a pair of boots and there's a pair of shoes, and the brand in question is called Bridlen. Lovely boxes. Blue is my favorite color, so naturally I'm going to like these. They are very sturdy as well, which is nice. Good quality stuff. Let's take a look inside. So, nice kind of real thick foam, which is good for protection, especially in a box this big. Things can easily shift around, so it's good to have that as a protective extra added layer. Oh, there's a little taped envelope. I'm just going to destroy this for the sake of brevity. So they made some sock liners, Bridlen limited for the Shoe Snob. Pretty cool. So I can just take the ones out and put those in, as this was a little collaboration, so to speak. Very nice little cool detail. All right, let's get these ones out. Everything is very well packed. Nice dust bags. Since I have two pairs, I'm going to kind of skip a little bit ahead for the sake of saving time. This one has a perfectly cut foam pad, which is very nice. Details there, little indents for your fingers to grab. Very well presented. In the shoes, there's a wooden shoe horn, which is very nice. Again, beautiful presentation here. Very well packed. Spare set of laces. All right, and the shoes. So let's take a look at what we have. So the bags, we've got the blue to go in line with the branding. The bags are relatively thin, cotton-like material. And let us take a look at the models. Sorry, there's a lot to unpack here, so bear with me. All right. So, Bridlen shoes. Here is a pair of Adelaides from what they call their founders line. They were so kind to put a pair of Triumph toe taps. I'll touch on that later. Now here is a pair of boots that you won't actually find on their website, but that they had on display at the London Super Trunk, and is a limited edition model. Very cool, very Victorian Edwardian. So let's start with the shoes, and then we can talk about the boots. So first things first, when you look at the making, these are Goodyear welted. The shoes are solid, very, very solid. Solid in every sense of the form. The construction is good. When you put these on, you feel like you're in a quality shoe. From the lining, this is Zonta Museum calf. These are oak bark soles, not from JR, but from Baker. They seem to have a relationship with Baker, as that is also where the leather on these boots is from. the closing is actually super impressive, and I didn't notice this before. I'm just looking at it now. It is some of the tightest I've seen in a long time. Amazing closing. Now that makes me chuckle because in the industry, many brands are known for sending their cut leather to India to be closed there. Originally, I had imagined it was for saving money, which of course it is, but now I'm also seeing that the Indians do flawless job at closing. This is some of the finest closing I have seen in reality, which is quite a feat at that. So let's take a look at more of the other details. Again, museum calf. Now, let me just start with the price quickly before I mention all these details, because that's what's somewhat impressive. These are $306 for a closed channel, Goodyear welted. They put what is supposed to be a fiddleback, but I know that is pretty sure a shank that is then shaped as a fiddleback. Pretty sure because I can feel it when I put it on, which is something else I'll get into. Beveled waist. They have fudging on the welt, and they have very nice tight sole stitching on the welt. So a lot of good features in terms of the making, especially for $306, which is incredible to say the least. That's as close to a hand grade shoe, so to speak, as you can get. In terms of making, what now will separate the hand grade shoes that we have that are double, triple the price is some of the more detail things. A lot of times you don't just pay for making, you pay for skill of the people who work in the factories. And I'll touch on that because I do believe it makes a huge difference, and it shows here. So, all right, $306. If you're just judging on quality alone, it's an amazing value. Like I said, I put these on and they feel like expensive shoes. Where I do feel like things are lacking, and I'm hoping Bridlen takes this as positive criticism because it's important, is in the last and pattern making. So I look at this shoe, and this shoe is not balanced in my opinion. The most bottom point here would leave the heel off the touching the floor. So if I put that at the bottommost point, you can see how much space is in that heel from here. If you put the heel down, then you got quite a large toe spring. Now, at the same time, it's a really big heel and a really small waist and a really long forefoot. This as well, for me, creates an off balance. And you also see it here, a really small heel and a really voluminous forefoot with a very high instep and a small mouth. This creates a very strange fit, which I experienced. So these are my usual UK 6.5, US 7.5. Now the size is correct, but they don't fit me at all. They're very voluminous all through here. The heel, grabs me just fine, albeit it's quite a short heel. I prefer a slightly higher heel to really lock you in there. Short heels make you feel like you're gonna pop out. But there's subtle things about this that, unless, when you are a designer, you notice these. If you're not a designer, you may not notice them. So, I'm hoping that the feedback here can be positive, because a few minor changes would, in my opinion, infinitely bump these shoes up. So for me, the last needs to be worked on. I don't know if you can also tell, it's very wide here. And that's also the same in these boots. They have very wide kind of, just out in front of the heel, it's super wide. So it's kind of like a fleshy stubby foot, as opposed to most feet are not really like that. Most feet, it shouldn't be as wide here as it is in the forefoot, which it is. And so I found the fit to be really strange. And I also, because of the way the last is, I felt all of this in the center of my foot, which is not good. And it makes a shoe unwearable for me. I have quite sensitive feet. So if the last just doesn't fit my foot at all, I can't wear them. And so that's my only gripe with them. Now, everybody's fit experience is different. Maybe this last fits wonderfully on other people, but on me, it doesn't fit at all. And I do believe there are some balance issues with the pattern against the last. So, yes, if they could fix those, this would be a phenomenal shoe. I also found it odd that the last goes over the sole here. There's a lot of space right there, which normally the welt should be as close to the kind of underlay of the last as possible. You shouldn't have this strange gap. It's unsightly. So again, that is most likely due to the last shape, that the toe actually kind of turns up, and or they're not cutting down this material on the underside, which is causing it kind of like raise up. Either way, it's a detail that should be addressed, in my opinion. Again, I'm not trying to cut them down, because in terms of quality, it's amazing for $300. All the materials are of top class. The sewing is of top class. But these small details are what separate the major greats from the not major greats. You know, there's a reason why Tony Gattiano is considered one of the greatest lasting pattern makers, is because his patterns fit the last phenomenally. The change in a line of a millimeter or two makes a huge difference in the aesthetic pleasing of that shoe. And those things matter at the end of the day. When you find a shoe breathtakingly gorgeous, it's because A, the last is correct, and B, the pattern fits the last perfectly. And you don't even realize those things, because it's subjectively, it's subconscious things that you're feeling, you're seeing, but you're not understanding. But that's really what it is, ugly shoes you're not attracted to because there's something wrong in the balance of the pattern and the last. Shoes with good balance of pattern and last are objectively beautiful. So that's my only kind of feedback and gripe with this making, is I do feel like there are some balance issues, and those balance issues, once corrected, will be a very hard contender in the shoe industry. $300 for this making is incredible. So, and they're actually very good at putting Triumph toe taps. Those are probably among the most flush I've seen. So they did a phenomenal job there. Really flush. That's not easy, just so you know. Maybe if you're a super skilled cobbler, you might think it's easy, but I've put in toe taps and it takes work. It's not easy to get them as flush as the soles is. So yeah, the soles are lovely, really nice. You can see the quality of these. I like them. I like the color. I like the finishing, and they're solid though. I myself personally like something a little bit more flexible, but for those of you that like a solid sole, they definitely have it. All right, let's talk about the boots. So the boots, amazing boots. These are very cool. I actually love the style. This is a what they told me was a Russian hatch grain from Baker. Very nice, robust, hard wearing leather. Very thick. Sorry, I'm just checking everything. We got a solid double sole on this. Again, the oak bark soles. And they have a feature here that I'm not so, in tune with, because I believe this is more of like Americana boot feature, but they have the cat's paw heel. That might mean something to you. Doesn't really mean much to me. I did read it a little bit about it. They claim that it's slip resistant, although I am dubious of anything that says waterproof, slip resistant, because there's always a scenario where you can dispel that. So yeah, gorgeous Victorian style boots here. Again, I do feel there are some pattern issues. However, I do like this last better. I do feel it is more proportionate. And it's hard to gauge in the boot though, because of the way a boot's pattern is. So again, I felt it wide kind of through the body, which is more strange, but not as wide. Still voluminous in the forefoot. So they told me that this last actually runs small and that I should take a 7, because really I'm a 7 narrow, a UK 7 narrow. But it was big, big everywhere. So I'd have to wear pretty thick socks for it. I would think that a 6.5 would have been a better fit for me, because I like things to be tight. But in terms of proportion and shape, I do find it far more appealing and proportionate. The heel to here ratio is far better than the heel to kind of bottom of the eyelet ratio on this shoe. It's more balanced with the length of that. Again, these are not things you might understand. You understand them when you start designing and when you start to see the end product come out. It was something I experienced when I designed my first collection, and I looked at everything, and it was horrible. It wasn't like my designs at all. And I went to Tony Gazzano and I asked him, "Hey Tony, how do I fix this? What's going on?" Because I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. That was prior to me understanding how important it is a pattern fits the last, and how huge a difference of millimeters of difference in where a line falls. So this line here falling 3 millimeters that way or 3 millimeters that way makes huge difference in the aesthetics of that shoe, and the pattern and the proportions and the kind of overall fit of the pattern to the last. So this is why design is so important. People underrate design in footwear, but in reality, design is what makes shoes beautiful. With bad design, bad, ugly shoes. It doesn't matter how good they are. If they're ugly, they're ugly. It's the way it goes. So this one, much better. Great boot. Again, my only gripe was this. They do make it very wide through this kind of the middle part, which is the part that's really supposed to grab your feet. So I don't know. I don't know. Every culture has different types of feet. I don't really know if that is more akin to an Indian type foot. Some people of you may be saying, "What's that?" But these things do matter. We have different feet in different countries. If you don't know that, well, start to pay attention. Some of your friends who are not from your same country will have different style of feet. And then if you start to pay more attention, you'll notice patterns. So, yeah. Beautiful boots, super solid. I will say these are not for the faint of heart. These will require somebody who is not afraid to have some sore legs, because this is a very solid, thick leather and hard to break in boot. So if you're one who gripes about boots causing you pain, these aren't for you. If you're a little bit more, less kind of crybaby-ish, I'm sorry to say, but it's true. If you are willing to suffer the break-in period, then you can do these boots, because these are not going to be a light break-in. But I can tell you, once broken in, that's going to be the type of boot that lasts a long, long, long time, because it's a very well-made, sturdy boot. Now, the only problem with getting these boots is they're not actually on their website, so you'd have to email up. I know this is a special make, and I believe it has a limited run to it because of the leather, I want to say, and I also do believe because of the cat's paw heel, which I didn't notice, but this is about 3/4 of an inch thick, which is quite a solid rubber heel. So I imagine that's why it's popular. These boots are beautiful. Again, I could get away wearing them with some thicker socks. I do find them to be highly attractive. I love this high look, very Victorian. I do love the Victorian style. Again, when you put these shoes on, I won't lie, they feel really nice, really well-made quality shoes. And I would assume these are under 400 because the rest of their boots are around 300, just like the shoes. And at that price, it's a steal. It's a knock out of the park. Price per quality ratio is insane. Beautiful sole again, double leather, solid. You could go through the world and back on those. So in terms of just making, I'm very impressed with this Indian making. My only gripe again is the pattern versus lasts. I do think they need to get their fit a little bit more refined. Other than that, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with this. I've always been dubious of Indian shoemaking. What I see online, I don't like almost always. There's another maker that I do like that I want to show at some point, but they have yet to send the shoes that they said they would. I'm sure they will soon. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. If you like how these things look, last versus pattern, you know, by all means, I'm just sharing my experience and my things that I see as a designer and somebody who's been around a lot of shoes. But in terms of quality versus price, you really can't go wrong. Phenomenal work here, beautiful details. They're really doing well. And it's no surprise. They did very well at the trunk show, and I imagine they're going to become a very successful brand. So definitely check them out. Bridlen shoes. Check out the link. I'll leave it below. If you want to grab the boots and you're having a hard time doing that, let me know. I can connect anybody straight to the owner of the brand, and I'm sure you'll get very quick service that way. But again, great stuff. I hope they take this constructive criticism with positive, in a positive way, and you know, see if they can make a few adjustments, and I'll look forward to seeing those adjustments. Anyway, do stay tuned. I have tons of stuff. Sorry, I've been so busy. I was traveling for the last 2 weeks. I finally went back to my factory. I was in Europe, and so I've been falling a bit behind, but I have a ton of new videos coming. So do stay tuned. Thank you as always for tuning in. And I won't say all that stuff that all the other YouTubers say, but just say thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.